All right, today we're going to dive into something super important in JavaScript, how to handle promise errors. Getting this right is basically the difference between an app that's solid as a rock and one that just falls apart the second something unexpected happens. So let's break it all down. And I'm not exaggerating here. With asynchronous code, just one little unhandled error can completely wreck a feature or even crash an entire page. But the good news? The fix is actually pretty simple and elegant, and that's exactly what we're going to walk through. So, first things first, what even is a promise? Well, think of it this way. You ask a friend to call you back when they have an answer. You've made a promise. Now, that call might go through successfully, or maybe their phone died and it fails. A JavaScript promise is exactly that. It's an object that holds the place for that future success or failure. And if that callback fails, you gotta have a plan, right? Otherwise, your whole program just gives up. That plan is dot catching. It's your safety net. It's designed to catch any error that comes from your promise, letting you handle it, maybe show a nice message to the user, and keep the rest of your app from crashing. Okay, let's make this real with a classic example. Fetching some data from an API. The moment we call fetch, we're kicking off an operation that's not going to finish instantly. So what we get back right away isn't the data. It's that promise, that little placeholder for a future result. Now, assuming the network request works, our first .then block gets to work. It takes that raw response from the server and does one simple, crucial thing. It parses it as JSON, turning it into something we can actually use in our code. And once we have that nice, clean JSON data, it gets passed along to the next then in the chain. This is where we do the cool stuff, display the data on the screen, update a chart, or in this simple case, just log it out to the console. This is the happy path, where everything goes right. But what if the network connection drops? Or maybe the server sends back some junk that isn't valid JSON. Well, any failure at any point in that chain immediately stops the happy path. And that's when our single .catch block at the very end jumps into action, grabbing that error so we can handle it gracefully instead of crashing. And this is the real magic of how this whole system works. You don't need to put a .catch after every single step. An error anywhere in the chain will automatically bubble down, skipping all the other success steps until it finds that one .catch waiting at the end. Just look at how this works. If do something dotted in step 1 fails, the promise is rejected right away. See how it just completely ignores process result and use final result? The code in those .then blocks never even gets a chance to run. Control just jumps straight to the end, right into our .catch block. It's incredibly efficient. And that is what makes promise code so clean and readable. Instead of cluttering up your logic with error checks at every turn, you can have a long chain of .then blocks and just relax, knowing that one single .catch at the end is your safety net for the entire operation. Okay, so you've got the main idea down. That's awesome. But if you really want to show that you know your stuff, let's pull back the curtain a little bit on what .catch is actually doing behind the scenes. So here's the secret. .catch is what we call syntactic sugar. It's just a cleaner, easier to read shortcut. See, the .then method can actually take 2 arguments. The first one is for success, and the second one is for failure. So when you write .catch error handler, all you're really doing is writing .then null error handler. It's the exact same thing. Okay, knowing the right way to do things is half the battle. The other half is knowing the common traps people fall into. So let's go over a few mistakes that are really easy to make. The number 1 mistake, by far, is just forgetting to add a .catch at all. This is bad because your error will just disappear, leaving you with a weird warning in the console. Another sneaky one is putting .catch in the middle of a chain. Sure, it'll catch an error from the first part, but then the chain keeps going and a new error could pop up later with no safety net. And finally, knowing how to use throw is a superpower, but it can be confusing at first. Now, this is a really clever pattern. Let's say your API call works, but the data you get back is, empty, or just wrong. Inside your .then block, you can actually throw your own custom error. This doesn't crash anything. All it does is stop the happy path and immediately passes control down to your .catch handler, just as if it were a real network failure. It's so useful. So, while promise chains with .then and .catch are powerful, modern JavaScript has given us an even cleaner, more readable way to write asynchronous code. It's called async/await. Just look at the difference here. Instead of a chain of callbacks, async await lets us write code that looks like it's running from top to bottom. We await our promise inside a try block. If anything goes wrong, it gets caught in the catch block. For a lot of people, this try-catch structure just feels way more natural and is so much easier to read. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground, so let's just boil it all down to the 3 absolute key things you need to remember from all this. So here's your cheat sheet. Number 1, always handle your promise errors and do it with a single .catch at the end of the chain. 2, trust the process. Let those errors bubble down to your handler. It keeps your code simple. And 3, get comfortable with the modern way. Async/await and try.catch. It's the standard now for a reason. And really, that's what this all comes down to, isn't it? Writing professional, reliable code isn't just about the happy path when everything goes perfectly. It's about building apps that are tough, that are resilient, and that can handle failure gracefully when things inevitably go wrong. If you master that, you're in great shape.